Welcome to episode 2 of Coffee with My Dad. We have half of the Permanco kid clan here with us. My brother, older brother Daniel, and of course my dad, and I think we all have our coffee.
Yep.
Cool, so let's get started. Daniel, can you go ahead and kick us off?
All right, I thought I'd kick it off in a fun way, and we're going to call this segment Watch the Reaction. I'm going to send you guys a text, and the listeners will get to see your reaction. Are you ready?
Okay, hold on.
I don't know.
There we go.
I think I am. I don't know if my webcam is good enough to show that. Dad, do you want to show them what Daniel made?
Okay, so I figured this is my first time on the pod, and any good guest is going to listen to the pod before they get on it, so they have some kind of context. And you guys were talking about Pete's Power Pickles, and should it be a thing, should it not be a thing? So, for anybody who's listening, today only, in the next 4 minutes of listening, if you go to petespowerpickles.store, you will get nothing but just a landing screen. Here, let me just share my screen. Can I do that? Okay, I can't do that, but
We could slide it in later.
yeah, you can slide it in. But petespowerpickles.store, and
It's real.
Hold on. Yeah, I gotta look.
It's a real website. It has a pre-order
I love
button
it.
that goes to nothing at the time of this recording, but maybe when this is published, maybe there'll be something there.
I
I
misspelled.
love it.
By the way, do not misspell Pete's Power Pickles.
petespowerpickles.store.
.store.
Why .store? Because
great.
I had a free .store credit, and you guys were saying, so I was like, I've been sitting on it for a few weeks, so I was like, that's it.
That is awesome. Well,
That's
the
awesome.
best part, Daniel, I did see a comment from a listener last week, like one of the 4 that maybe listened to things last week, but I did see a comment that said I would buy Pete's Power Pickles.
Oh, no way.
Did you not?
You are without excuse now.
No. Oh, that's hysterical. I did not see that coming. I was thinking, is this a picture, a before and after picture of Benjamin washing toffee in the bathroom? Is this like, what in the world could this be?
Ooh. That's good content for the next podcast. Watch the reaction segment.
Watch the reaction. I like that.
it.
That's a good ad. Okay.
And that's actually really well done.
I like it.
You did a good job on that, Daniel.
Well, it's all thanks to the new beta generative AI feature within Illustrator. I'm very fascinated by all this AI stuff, and all I just put in the prompt in Illustrator was make a pickle lifting a dumbbell. And that's what it gave me, and then I just added my own Pete's Power Pickles, and then I told it to make me a yellow lightning bolt. And then I made myself a pattern, and boom, Pete's Power Pickles.store was born.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
The
So
whole AI
has-
thing really is fascinating. I've been fascinated.
Yeah.
You guys have seen some of the stuff. I actually did a whole presentation for people where every image, all but like 2 in the entire presentation deck were AI generated. And you can kind of tell, but it was amazing that I could do that and get, what I was looking for faster than scrolling through all of the bazillion cheesy like stock art pictures that are out there.
Right.
No offense to those of you that are taking the pictures, but just didn't meet my needs. That's all.
But it does. It meets exactly what you want. I mean, maybe not exactly, but you get what you want. I wanted a pickle lifting up a dumbbell or a barbell, and it gave me a pickle with a barbell, and I wasn't searching. I had to let it generate for like 20 seconds,
Yeah.
and then there we go. So I think there's a use for it for sure. It's awesome.
Think about this, Daniel. I remember a moment. So we're here. The 3 of us are talking about AI. I remember a moment walking into. It was a preschool, pre-K kind of a class that you were in, and all of you kids were sitting on the floor, and the teacher is explaining, this is a mouse. This is how you move the cursor. And this is, and he's talking, and then they held up, a CD disc, which I don't even know if I have one right now. A CD disc, a CD-ROM, and they said, this is a disc. This is where the games live. And they were explaining what at that time was technology. And today, those things that were technology are just appliances for us right now. But now we're talking about AI. Yeah. So what does that mean? Like, as you think about your kids growing up with AI is the tech that's going to be an appliance when they're our age?
Yeah. I think, okay, the first thought that comes to my mind is critical thinking. Because one of the first reactions, just from people that I've talked to, is it seems that AI is an excuse to not thoroughly think through a problem or to think through issues, and they just want to throw in a prompt and just run with whatever it gives them, and it's just not that clever yet to be put out professionally. And so that's one of my thoughts is I think it can be a really insightful tool, but at the same time, there's just something about with the boys reading books and learning to read and analyze problems and think through those problems and come up with their own solutions and then understand AI to be a tool that can help them. But it's hard to know because AI is so new of where it's going to go. I mean, when I was a little kindergartner, what were you thinking that little mouse was going to take me? So you just kind of grow with it. But just my thought is, Derek and our kids already have access. Like Noah yesterday, he grabbed the iPad. He's not even 2. He grabbed the iPad off my nightstand, turned it on, found the YouTube app, and then turned on Baby Bus all by himself.
Wow.
And so, which is a really cool thing that he knows how to do that. But it's just not losing some very fundamental developmental skills, and for AI and technology to become a crutch for them, I think is what I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah, that's important. What about you, Derek?
What was the question? I forgot the original question.
I was really just thinking, what goes through y'all's head thinking about AI right now? Like, that's the tag, and it'll be kind of an appliance, maybe, right? When your kids are older.
I'm wondering if that'll create more of a demand for critical thinkers, because no matter how advanced artificial intelligence gets, I really don't believe that you and I or our kids or their kids will ever be able to actually mimic or recreate the complexity that we have in our thinking. And I think that that's something to you start out young and you grow it, that you grow that ability. Nobody's just born a great critical thinker. But I wonder if maybe right now critical thinker is not necessarily a job title. You may have certain managers or whatever that are in charge of. Is it a job title? Is it actually a job title?
No, but I went there with you. I'm like, crap, their sole job is to think.
No, really. What if that's we just create a generation of, on the extreme end, people who cannot think for themselves, and so they're handicapped. They know they're handicapped, that they're just they live with this limit of, I can't do what AI can, thinking that it's smarter than me, meant to serve me, but it can do the job better, kind of like a bicycle can carry me further. I'm not intimidated by the bicycle, but I know that I need it if I want to get somewhere efficiently. And I wonder if...
Yeah, I kind of feel like we're where there's already people that can't think for themselves and think the AI is smarter than them.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
I would agree.
But you're right, Derek. I mean, that ability, actually, I think today that ability is one that should be protected and cherished. Because there is so much coming at us that's generated by AI or not, that requires our ability to think critically and evaluate and use just to sort out is this fact, is this not fact, how do I trust this source, what do I know about this source, all of that. I mean, all we have to do is look at politics and Instagram or X or whatever the platform of your choice to know that critical thinking is actually not that much of a commonplace skill.
So I'm curious about Dad, your answer to Daniel's question. What was going through your head when you were watching them explain what a mouse was? Like, did you have a thought, like, 20 years, this is what's going to happen?
No, I was actually thinking about that 20 years ago, this was Star Trek. Like honestly, like what we were doing, like for sure what we're doing right now was science fiction when Daniel was that age. And even when I was y'all's age, what we're doing right now is science fiction. Like I'm in Paso Robles, California. Daniel's in Colorado Springs. You're in Lubbock, Texas. And here we are, not just talking on a phone, seeing each other's face, and it's real time. So I was thinking about that things that I thought, whoa, how cool is that? My kids growing up just knowing that's just kind of, it's like oxygen. It is. That was the thing that hit me.
Yeah, I actually remember hearing, listening to some people talk about this on a podcast recently and talking about everybody around Derek and I's age. We were really born in a really unique time because we were born in that time period in between the technology and pre-technology, like when the internet was being developed and
Yep.
when the mouse and the computer was really coming to life. So we have known a world without that. Probably me a little bit more so than Derek, but we're born into a world discovering this. Whereas like the generation before us, they're having a hard time, and many people are keeping up with the technology because they're
Mm-hmm.
used to their non-digital ways. And then the generation after us are going to grow up just solely digital and not have a lot of those skills that dad and our great grandparents have. So we're born at I feel a particular burden of responsibility to not lose some of these fundamental
Mm-hmm.
developmental things that we gained before technology came.
Yep.
And so that actually leads me to my deep question that's got me thinking. I stumbled across it, one of Jordan Peterson's websites. Now, are you guys familiar with? You're probably
Mm-hmm.
heard, at least heard the
Mm-hmm.
name.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
he asked the question like, how would my life be different if I only said things I deeply believe? And he meant that in a very literal sense, because there's so much small talk and off comments here or there. But how would life be different if I
Mm-hmm.
only said things I deeply believed? I don't know if I have an answer. Maybe you guys have some initial thoughts off the top of your head, but it's almost too deep for me to just even get into too much.
My first thought is people would think I don't know how to talk because I would never say stuff. Because I don't say things like, my nature is like if I say it, if I say I really mean this, I've really thought about it and it's something that I've pondered for a long time. And so there'd be times like I probably wouldn't be married right now. Mom would be so frustrated that I just didn't respond to something, right, in a timely manner.
Yeah. Okay, I can relate to that. I was literally just thinking 30 minutes ago when somebody asks how I don't like when somebody asks me about what's your favorite fill in the blank? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite fill in the
Mm-hmm.
blank? Because there's something about when you communicate what your favorite thing is, there's like a permanency to it. And where this
Mm-hmm.
came about was I was thinking about this mug actually. And I was like, at this moment, this is my favorite mug. But 3 months ago, this was not my favorite mug.
Yep.
And probably in a year, it won't be my favorite mug. But if I tell you right now, this is my favorite mug in this moment at least, you're forever going to think, oh, well, that's Daniel's favorite mug. And so now I feel like I can't even answer that question because it creates this framework that I don't want you to like permanently have about me.
Absolutely. How many times have you guys heard mom say, your dad likes this, your dad doesn't like that? And it's because one time I said, right now, this is what I like, or no, I don't want that. And so that turned into like etched in stone and gospel. Like you guys heard, this is what I, and so even today, mom's still discovering things. She's like, wait, what? You like that? You don't like that? Like, yes, stop telling people that I don't like that.
Yeah, I can see that. Rhubarb pie, is that one of those?
There's never been confusion about where I stand with rhubarb.
Oh, okay.
No, never. People should not eat vegetables in their dessert. There's like one exception, and that's pumpkin pie.
Another exception, carrots.
Carrot cake, yeah. Carrot cake. That's the other one. I agree. But it's also not the like carrot cake is carrot cake, but it's not like as a percentage of the overall volume in the dessert, it's relatively small. Versus rhubarb pie, which is
that's fair.
Yeah. And by the way, carrots don't kill you. Like rhubarb's poison if you eat it.
I don't know if I've ever actually had it.
Yeah. There's actually not obviously the whole plant, otherwise nobody'd be around to talk about it. But there's parts of it that you like. It's not the healthiest thing to eat.
Oh wow!
There's your trivia for
the
today.
Trial and error.
Right?
How'd they figure that out?
I think Daniel, your deep question actually ties really well to the AI conversation we're having too, because AI only parrots what it's heard. Right?
That's true.
It only repeats what it's been trained to repeat. And so it can't come up with an original thought or idea, and it can't change its mind like you're talking about. Because
yeah, that's true.
I think I have deeply believed some things in my life that my belief changes now. Like there have been I've had a position on one thing, and I firmly believe that, like, would defend it vigorously. But then today probably don't believe the same way because I've changed my mind. And I guess, I don't know, if somebody would argue AI would do that with new information, but I still don't think AI would say, this is my position. I think it just repeats. Unless you've trained it to talk that way, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a AI.
Interesting.
I don't either.
You know what else it can't do? It can't hear from the Holy Spirit.
That's true.
It can't be inspired by God like we can.
No, it never will.
Mm-mm. Okay, I'm
I
curious.
can't even say anything in response to that. It's just time to insert the truth bomb turtle. Boom, right there.
Did you say the truth bomb turtle?
Yeah.
I think you did.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just this idea, this AI idea I've had to create an Instagram account with and called Truth Bomb Turtle, and it's AI generating images of a turtle with just one-liners. It's just a whole Instagram page created by AI generated images. Truth Bomb
You got to
Turtle.
do that now because somebody's going to hear you said that on his podcast and jump on it if you don't. That's a cool
Yeah,
idea.
I'll need to. So that'll be the first one. There'll be like the turtle. There'll be like a dove, bright lights coming out, and he'll have like headphones on or something because he can't hear. AI will be inspired by the Holy Spirit. I don't know. It's a thought, but no, it's a really good thought, and that's another thing that's just really intriguing too about raising up kids and this whole AI kids conversation is there are situations in life that are very naturally logical, that are calculated, that people would always say, yeah, this is the road that you should take. But the wisdom of God knows, hey, maybe that is and maybe that isn't. And there's reasons that we just can sometimes and cannot see.
Yep.
And so that's just wrapping this back around with the AI thing and the kids. It's just so important to raise them. And funny little story moment. Judah came out of his room the other day. So Judah's learning about angels.
Wow.
Because some television show taught him about monsters. So TV teaches about monsters, we teach him about angels. And he came out of his room, and this was a couple weeks ago. He was so concerned that there were monsters, and I said, "No, it's okay, because we have angels." And he says, "Where are they? I can't see them." And so that's interesting, trying to tell a 3-year-old about teach them about something that they can't see. But
Yeah.
um, he got onto the concept, and he's latched onto it so much so, no matter what comes, his first response is, "Oh, it's okay. There are angels here. Oh, it's okay.
Hmm.
I'm safe. There are angels." And then he's even telling us that the angel was praying for him the other night.
Really?
Hmm.
Yeah, but it was just that, just teaching him, like I think there was a belief that I had that, oh, we're going to be able to keep them from being exposed to everything that's going to happen in the world.
Hmm.
And but the reality is like we live in this world, and they're going to pick up things from different places that you were and may not have been avoided, but we just carry these truths that we
Hmm.
can protect them with and teach them about. And so Judah's learning about angels, and then there'll become a time where we'll teach him, and Derek will teach Milo and the babies to come, about listening to the Holy Spirit, and just
Hmm.
how that for me is the most critical thing I feel like any person
Yep.
could ever have. Like when I think about this, people always ask, if you could have one superpower, what would you have? Any superpower you want. I have it. It's the ability to hear from God. Like
Yep.
I
Hmm.
don't need a superpower. I don't want a superpower, because that's the most powerful thing that can help us through this life. Like He is our helper. So yeah,
Yep.
AI can't help us like the Holy Spirit can.
Definitely. Derek, you had a thought like 12 minutes ago. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's really helpful or if it really fits in the vein at this point.
Throw it out there. Why not?
I was just curious, like, which would be better? And the answer is probably a balance of both. But like, if you had to pick an extreme, like, what are the pros and cons? Are interesting to think about. That one extreme of only speaking what I deeply believe, meaning like I've thought about it, I've weighed it, and I'm convicted. I'm convinced at this point. This is the way it is. Versus a very very old, like kind of Greek um, style of learning where you all get together and you all just share ideas, and everybody's idea is worthy of being heard and worthy of being weighed. Like we see in Scripture, Paul shows up and he's like, "Hey, here's what you don't know. Here's. Let me tell you about the God you don't know." And they're like,
Hmm.
"We're gonna hear you again on this matter." And like some people were for it, and some were very against it. It's like just interested. Those are two very different. Like I'm open to hearing everything and sharing everything versus maybe I'm open to hearing, but like I know what I believe and I'm only gonna speak what I deeply believe.
It's an interesting question because it kind of ties back to the conversation you and I had in the previous episode in a way.
Well, okay, so I actually don't see a problem with either one. I think both of those can exist together, because if you're in this environment where everybody's sharing and they're sharing things that they deeply believe, then it will get everybody to challenge the things that they deeply believe, and it provides a great test to see about how deeply you actually believe something. And also, I'm not suggesting that we only go around speaking what we deeply believe. I think that's more of a thought for uh, self just internalization to
Mm-hmm.
better communicate and better release the things that are true, rather than holding on to things we've heard that may be laced with things that are false.
Yeah, for sure. I'm on the same page with you, Daniel. I think I love Derek's question because I really don't think it's an either or. I do think it's both. I really think we need to. I mean, it's such. Could you? The benefit for me, if we only spoke things that we really truly believed, think about the misunderstandings that would not happen because people are sharing something like that they. I think you believe this, but you kind of played a different way. Or I said something that made you think that this is where I stand, but it maybe not where I stand on something. And so that in one way there might be a whole lot more clarity. And there is great value, I think, in putting ideas out there and letting people react to them and seeing how people react. And something that, there's a lot of things, like we could do several of these on all of the things I look back on that I think I could have done differently or better for you guys to prepare you for life. I don't have I'm not going to die and go to heaven, go see the Lord and be thinking about this is all the ways I screwed up my kids. Don't take me wrong. But there are things that I can look back on and go huh. And one of them would have been to reinforce being able to defend my position and say this is what I think, and at the same time be open to critique on my position so that I can refine it, so that I can refine my position, feel better about my position. Yeah. I've learned so much from you guys, actually, and from my family growing up in terms of leadership and things. You guys have taught me more lessons than most books that I've ever read. And one of the things that I've learned is that we're stronger and smarter together because of this very thing that we're talking about. Because there can be imagination, and that sparks an idea that nobody else ever would have thought of. But then the ability to take that spark and turn it into something because of input from here and input from there and this person's idea, and somebody shot me down, but they weren't shooting me down. They were just pointing out the way I was talking about it doesn't work. But if we did it another way, it could work, right? Those are super important skills, I think, for us to have as people. You two turned out pretty good in spite of me. But that's something I feel like I could have done even more for you earlier in your life. Does that make sense?
Oh, well, don't be too hard on yourself. Everywhere I go, anybody I talk to, they're like, your dad is the greatest. He's
Literally.
the best. You really don't realize what you had growing up. I hear that.
You're probably thinking you don't realize what I had growing up either.
No, but I do see what other people had growing up, and I can recognize we really had a great treasure in you and Mom and the way you guys raised us. And there's nobody who's ever walked to this earth and raised their kids perfectly, just to a T and by the book. But you guys, if there was somebody who came close, I just feel like it's got to be you and Mom, because I've really met a lot of people that have come from some really bad situations.
Oh, I know that's
true.
And
I'm like, wow, we really have it really great.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not beating myself up for it. But I just, you can't. Look, if we're not always looking to critique ourselves and our performance and learn how we could have been better, then it's time to go home, right? But so that's kind of where I'm coming from. But thank you for that. Mom gets huge part of the credit. For a long part of your life, I was working and Mom was the one at home with you guys, so she gets a ton of credit for that too.
Oh yeah, she definitely does. But back to what Derek was bringing up, I actually think one of the healthiest environments we can be in is an environment where we're all allowed to share our ideas and shoot down each other's ideas. And if there's that understanding that we're all in there and we love each other and we trust each other, I think that's where that kind of environment really thrives. Because I've been in an environment like that, and I've been in an environment where if you spoke against somebody's idea, it was taken personally.
Yeah.
And it was very hard to let them know, like, you're a great person and your past 50 ideals were wonderful. This one just wasn't for these 8 reasons. And getting past that emotional barrier was really difficult. But when you're in a setting where emotional barrier, it's insulated because there's that love and trust for each other, I think it's really a really cool thing.
Yep. Oh, you're spot on with
totally
that.
Agree.
And it is the love and trust that allows that to happen. It's the trust, knowing, like, because we do. How do I want to say this? When we're working on something, sometimes people talk about separate, like, business. Don't take it personally. It's just business, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of garbage. Yeah. Like, if you're doing what you're doing well, you're putting you into it. You're investing into it emotionally. Mm-hmm. You're putting your creative mind and energy, and so there's a personal element to it. You should have, like, how can you have pride in your work and not have it be personal in some way? So
yeah.
So it is, but it's very different. What you're pointing out is spot on. I think it's very different to say my idea is flawed than to say, Pete, you're flawed.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that when we trust that that's what we're doing, that we're saying the idea, Pete has value, Derek has value, Daniel has value, this thing is wrong. And separate the person from the thing. I mean, just like, we did with you guys growing up, we talk all about, you're a good kid. What you did was wrong. Right? It's the same thing that makes Daniel's talking about work. Like, this idea is flawed. You're super smart, but this isn't going to work, and here's why. Right?
And I think that's another key part of it too, is that, like, you're super smart, because even if the person knows that they're great, you let them know they're a great person, but their idea is wrong. I think still within us we think, but that idea was wrong, so there was something wrong with the way that I was thinking. Therefore, there's something wrong with me. And so, like, just avoiding that, going down that road, and being able to keep it, like, you're great. Maybe this idea wasn't, but let's move on and create some new ones.
Dude, that's spot on. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
When Ben and I worked out of state, we'd spend a lot of time in the car together and working together on projects and whatnot. Like, we had been through a lot before that, and so there was already this baseline established of, like, hey, we've been through crap and we're still here for each other, so, like, we're not going anywhere. I love you, you love me, and we have each other's best interest in mind. But we had some really tough conversations that ended up, being really fruitful. Like, he really challenged my perspective in a lot of areas, and I could say the same, vice versa. And even today, like, we can still speak very frankly and candidly. And I don't really speak with a lot of people like I do with him, because we have that trust established. And I think I have some of the most mind changes when I speak with him, because I'm open to hearing what he says, knowing where it comes from is a good place. And he's not afraid to tell me exactly what he thinks and when he thinks I'm wrong. And so in a work setting where, like, the actual physical job I'm doing is not the right way, like, he lets me know, and that was good. Like, I needed that. But also, now that we're living in different states and most of what we talk about is, like, about the Lord, he brings a very different perspective and set of experiences and walk to the table that, like, I personally count, like, invaluable. And I wonder, I don't wonder, I know that same kind of trust that I have with him in a much deeper sense is why the Lord can correct me the way he does, and why when the Holy Spirit speaks, I'm open, because I know, like, he only loves me, he only has my best interest in mind. So anything he's saying is to build me up. And even when it's, like, tough stuff, like, hey, you've been doing this all wrong and you've kind of, like, screwed up, like, he never really says it in a mean way. He's all loving when he does. But I'm so thankful that he says even the hard things, where somebody else may hear the same thing and think, oh, they hate me, I suck. I'm like, no, thank you, because I know where it's coming from, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I
totally agree with you.
And what you're saying, there's such wisdom in what you're saying, because when we think the critique we're going to have is coming from, when we don't trust where it's coming from and that intention, we hide from it. Right? Just like Adam and Eve did. They knew, like, we screwed up, we don't want to hear from him. And, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, we do that as kids. We do that in the workplace. Like, I'll avoid that person because I'm afraid of what they're going to say, because I don't trust where they're coming from with it. And when you have that trust with somebody, it's much easier to hear it and go to them, even to ask, when you know it's going to be tough, but I know where they're coming from.
Yeah, which makes me think of your LinkedIn post about healthy work culture and how it's not healthy when you're afraid to talk to your boss.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, I think that totally is. I think that applies to what we're talking about right now.
yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, talking about building trust, work culture, I have a question for you guys. I've heard two different perspectives where building trust is concerned. There's one perspective where um, the leaders talk about how you need to be vulnerable and transparent in your leadership,
Hmm.
and there's you can kind of go one direction with that. But then there's another that I've heard where leaders have talked about how they were too familiar with the people underneath them, and then that created issues. So like what's the balance? Like are you vulnerable? Are you not? To what degree or in what situation are you in? Like what does creating trust look
Hmm.
like?
I'll let Derek go
It's a good
first.
question.
I have
I was
I
gonna
have
let you
thoughts.
go first.
No, I want to hear what you have to say before I cloud it.
Well, um, I mean, I think that in my very limited experience of working with people, especially when I'm considered higher in rank, very limited experience there. But I feel like there is a familiarity that like almost breeds disrespect if the familiarity leads to like, hey, we're on the same level, I'll totally go along with whatever you think, I'll agree with you, like we're buddies. When that's the main focus is like we're buddies first, then I can totally see how as a leader that will really inhibit my job. Like I can no longer lead them because when it's, like we need to move a certain direction, when I need to lead, I'm maybe not able to influence them anymore because they just think that I only want to do what they want to do, and it's like I'm kind of a pushover. So I think that maybe too much familiarity is not good, but at the same time, if the leader who's above me is just like I got it figured out, hard nosed, like super confident, and I know exactly the way to go. I'm not even open to your feedback, like on the other extreme. Well, I'm probably not going to follow them that well. Like there's no trust there,
Hmm.
and I don't think there's really trust on either extreme, like intrinsically, because those same people, I don't know, maybe my thoughts are getting kind of jumbled, but like I think a balance and
Hmm.
knowing when to share, knowing when to be vulnerable, knowing like the right way to like let them know that like as a leader I'm here for you, like we're in this together, like I have the confidence to lead you, but
Hmm.
also but you are. And one example that I can think of, where
Hmm.
Will at MindBody Dead, you probably remember him.
Yeah.
He was probably one of the best supervisors I've ever had. He at one point I was helping with escalations because I don't know, I like to talk to the angry people and like help them get not angry anymore.
Yeah.
It was just rewarding. So I'd help him out with those, and he told me just kind of in training me, he's like, so listen, you know the software better than I do. Like I don't know the software. You're in it every day. That is not my strength. Like here's where my strengths are. That one's not it. So I kind of need your help in this area. Like they have a technical issue and I can't solve it for them, but you can. And
Hmm.
that didn't diminish my respect for him at all. That actually kind of validated my existence and position and job, and empowered me to actually help them. But like his whole approach wasn't like, hey, I can't do this, you can, for everything. It was just that in that one moment he's like, you can actually do this a little better than me, so I need your assistance. But also I've handled a lot of angry people before, to like kind
Hmm.
of paraphrase what he said. So here's kind of how you should work through it, and let me give you some pointers on how to do it. So he brought more expertise than I had, but I
Yeah.
brought some that he didn't have anymore, and I think that led to a really healthy, overall experience for me in a
I think that's
small
a great
sense.
example of healthy vulnerability, right? To say this is
Yeah.
not something that I'm good, or this is a opportunity or a weak place. I think that's really healthy. It can go sideways with people, and the Daniel used the word familiarity. I think was you that used it, and that's a
Hmm.
great word because it kind of implied that more of that, you know, less professional. Like the relationship is not professional. The relationship is non-professional, and that's where I think the problem happens when people forget the roles. Be like, okay, so Daniel and I played soccer. You did once, but yes, Daniel and I played soccer a lot, and you've seen enough soccer, Derek. You know, like there are some roles on the field. You know, like on the field, players can swap around, but it's very difficult to do that with the goalkeeper, right? The goalkeeper, like that role is pretty clear, right? And so if you forget what that person's role is, or if they forget what their role is, and they try to do something that's not their role, that can get the team in trouble. Like if they try to make a run up the sideline and are looking for a cross to come from the other side, and the team picks up the ball and counters, we're in trouble because the goal's wide open and no goalkeeper back there, right? And so I think when you forget the roles, that's a problem. I don't think that's the same as trust, but I do think that it can lead to an erosion of trust because people can, if they forget the role and then they get put in their place about remembering the role, that can lead to hard feelings. And right, and so I think that can affect the trust. I think the thing that builds trust, if I get to Daniel, if I heard your question right, I am a fan of the way Stephen Covey explained building trust. He explained it in terms of two major components, character and competence. So character is like who I am, and competence what I can do. And so, that's demonstrated over time. So trust is built. And so here's what ties into the familiarity part. Character is actually two components. Character is a combination of my integrity, will I do the right thing, and my intent. So when you know my intentions,
I can see that,
and you know what I will do, and you know that I'll do the right thing, that lends itself to trust, right? That's a stronger character, and you can trust that. It's like you guys both have little people in your house. The little people may not tell you today, but you see they really appreciate and feel safe when there are clear boundaries, right?
Sure.
Right? They may not understand your intentions fully, but you're consistent. You do the right thing, right? You're showing them character. So there's some of those things that I think get confused when there's that personal familiarity, because people can have incredibly close personal relationships and work really well together, but they're very clear on roles. They're able to literally take one hat off, put the other hat on, and flip it and put it back. But when people aren't able to do that, because it's very difficult for most people to do, then that's where it's a problem.
Yeah, that's all very insightful.
Yeah. Reminds me of the illustration, I think it's in 7 Habits, but of, kids happily playing on a playground with walls around them that protect them from the edges of the cliff. But if you remove those walls, suddenly they're cowering in the middle. And maybe the familiarity is like, well, let me just, since I can go anywhere, they fall off the cliff. Is the other extreme of that. But I think you're right. I think the boundaries are, even for myself, I know when I have clear boundaries, then I have freedom to work within those boundaries. But if I don't know where they are, I'm kind of paralyzed. Or I get myself in trouble. One or the other.
Right. Maybe more the latter when you were younger. like most of us. Yeah. That's a great question, Daniel. We could do a whole podcast series on that one question alone, I think.
Yeah, I think you could probably pretty easily do something along that lines, because I find it's it's an interesting subject for me, because I think about all the relationships that I've had, people that are superior to me, as like in the workplace, or over me, or under me, or working side by side, and it's always made me just very curious to look at those relationships and see, why did this work so well with this person, but maybe not with that person, and what was the situation like in that time? And there's just a whole lot to go into that, but yeah, I think it's just a very interesting thought. Or like another thought I have is like, when you're going into a new situation, or maybe there's somebody being added to you. So for them, it's a new situation
Hmm.
or no new people. And I mean, for everybody, it's new because this person's new.
Yeah.
What can you do right off the bat to? I don't know that I can. Somebody can walk into the room and I can instantly. I trust that person, but are there things that you can do to help that or hinder that? And I liked how you brought that up from Stephen Covey, particularly the intention and the integrity, and just knowing where someone's coming from, your history with them. You trust that they're going to act a certain way and that they mean a certain thing. Like even like with Judah, I something that like really boggles me. Maybe it shouldn't, but it does. Is how he can do something and he knows that he did something wrong. Like he'll hit Noah,
Yeah.
completely unwanted. Maybe he'll just hit Noah for whatever reason, and then we have to discipline him. And he's in a moment where he's very upset, high emotions. But then you discipline him, and moments later, he's giving you a hug and telling us how much he loves us. And then we just go on and carry about the day. And that's like you're talking about with the kids, like they trust us and
Hmm.
they understand the boundaries and they understand when they've broken the boundaries, but they also understand our feelings and thoughts towards them. And so that's always such a funny scenario to me, but I guess it's a good thing. But yeah, that's where all that comes from.
Totally. I've worked with a lot of people, and this is actually really challenging to like try to impart to people and help them to learn, because you can say a lot of the things that we just said and people go like, yeah, 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 okay, but to like help them understand it, to be able to act on it. One thing that I didn't intend to do, but I realized I was saying over and over and over and over to kind of help people kind of grasp like how do we build trust with teams and stuff, is I just started saying like, come on, let's just treat them like a human being. Like if we met each other on the street and did not have the context of the workplace, how would we treat each other? It actually says a lot about a person. If
Yeah.
that could get really deep really fast.
My answer's probably very different.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be. Like, why should I treat you any differently if I meet you at the bus stop or in line to get my coffee, or than I would if you were an employee on my team? Like, this is the way
Hmm.
we interact in terms of respect, being polite, being interested in you versus making you interested in me. Right? Like, there are some very
Yes.
simple things that um, I think can. This is. I'm just going to leave it there. Just getting ready to. I have so much to say on this. I actually do say a lot about this in my book that's coming up. I have a lot to say about this. I really do.
I read the
because
first chapter.
Nice.
Did you?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, well, yeah, when I was there, and I'm really looking forward to reading the rest, is all I was going to say.
Oh, that's cool. I did. I sent the whole part 1 to Daniel. I'm actually through part 2 into 3 right now. It's getting close. The March is the target. But so in the book, there's one example that I shared. This a real client, the person that I work with, she was super frustrated with me because she said, "Why do I have to adjust to all of my people? Why can't they just all learn to adjust to me?" And I went, "It's not an unfair question. Because if you think about it, I have to learn to adjust to you, and then I have to learn to adjust to you, and then I have to learn to adjust to you. I've got to learn to adjust to all these people, but all of you only have to learn to adjust to one."
So what did you say?
I said, because you're their leader and it's not their job to adjust to you. That's what I told her. And then I explained to her that when you show them how you can adapt and adjust to their needs, you're modeling and teaching them how they can not only adapt and adjust to your needs, but to the needs of the people around them, to your clients, to your suppliers, to the other people that they work with. And she went, "Okay, I get it."
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. That was kind of a
That's really
sidetrack
cool.
that popped in my head.
No, that's good.
I definitely have like several thoughts and questions that could just open up another hour of conversation potentially. I don't know if I even want to share them. If we should just let the plane land.
Maybe a good idea. Maybe another episode.
I'll write them down.
There you go.
I'll share them later, and maybe you'll
Write
be
them
like,
down.
maybe it'll be a really simple answer, and you'll just be like, oh, well, this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that was simpler than I thought.
I think I know one of the questions that he wants to ask.
There's no way.
I'm
What
super curious.
are the 10 benefits to consuming one of Pete's Power Pickles?
No.
I really was not in the dark, you know.
The benefits of
Yeah,
growing
we're
up
not
together, learning how each other thinks.
Okay, so what are they? Give us one or two.
Well, they're Pete's
We have
Power
to know.
Pickles.
Electrolytes. Electrolytes is one. Your neighbor probably doesn't have one, so you're cooler than them. It doubles as not just an energy food, but also a condiment for your hot dog.
I'm all for the relish.
Yep.
But wouldn't you have to chew it up first?
Chop it up.
Oh, okay.
Or you
Yeah.
could slice
Okay.
homemade Chick-fil-A
I just-
sandwiches. Choop, choop, choop. You know,
I just have
Pickle
so
Chick-fil-A
much
juice?
doesn't have
vision
a power
for
pickle.
this.
They could charge an extra $1 for the number one with a power pickle.
They could. They could.
I see a contract in your future.
I'm glad you do. I'm not sure. That's awesome. Oh, the benefits of Pete's Power Pickles. All right, team. Well, if you want a power pickle, I hope you took advantage of it in the first 10 minutes. Okay, so being silly, but not. I literally got a text from somebody that said, "Oh my God, I love this podcast so much. They're listening to one of our
Really?
I'm not
Nice.
kidding. Yeah.
Well, praise the Lord. That's
I won't
awesome.
call her name out because I don't know if she wants me to. She would appreciate that, but
That's
somebody I used to
awesome.
work with. Yeah,
That's
Is she the one that wanted the
fantastic.
power pickle?
Hey, can
No.
we send her a free Power Pickle?
I'm sure she would give me so much grief.
I'm just envisioning like this special gift box. You have your wrapped Power Pickle. You have like your workout T-shirt, the Power Pickle with the hat. You got, I'm just seeing a gym out of this, like the pickle gym, and everybody in there is a Power Pickle.
What about like a subscription box, right? It's your pickle box.
The pickle box.
The pickle box
Actually-
for $19.95.
I love
I'm telling
subscription
you,
boxes.
there's something to this.
First one free, whatever it is, I'm hooked for the rest
pickle
of them.
box.
I think it's great.
It's hysterical.
I do too.
We'll have to partner with Circle R brand beef jerky.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh, the
Yeah.
premium subscription.
That's right.
Ooh,
Yep.
yeah.
I know a guy. I know the guy.
I mean, what else do you need? Pickles and beef jerky.
Vanilla ice
Pretty
cream.
powerful.
I don't know.
Vanilla ice cream.
Vanilla ice cream.
I mean, you both have pregnant wives right now, so that was the first thing that came into my head was pickles and ice cream.
Cheetos and ice cream. That's Katie's thing. Cheetos and ice cream.
Nuh-uh. Really?
No, it actually it works.
It's
It works
it's
because
an
you
Amish thing.
you don't taste a ton of the cheddar. You get, because it's so cold, you get mostly just the texture. So you get the crunch of the Cheeto with the more of the flavor of the vanilla.
And
I've tried it.
the complexity on the palate between the sweet and the salty all happening at one time. Like, it's a very dynamic experience.
I mean, if you imagine a block of cheese, it's like creamy and, if it's cheddar, it's cheddary and creamy. So it's not that far off. It's just kind of
not that
sweet.
far off. Don't knock
I thought
until
it
you
was.
try
I had
it.
the same reaction as you did, Dad, and then I tried it because I'm curious, and I was pleasantly surprised. I haven't done it since, but I was surprised.
So I think we've got ourselves a box here. We've got one of Pete's Power Pickles. We've got Circle R beef jerky, the vanilla ice cream, and Cheetos. all for just commenting on the podcast.
I think I'm so glad that I know some marketing creative people that can help me pull that together. And you know what? This is also a great example of what AI cannot do. Like
That's
AI,
true.
like I'm sitting here thinking about who thinks of putting ice cream and Cheetos together in the first place. That's some imagination.
Yeah, that's
It's like, what's going through your mind when you think that's a good idea? But
Did you say that's an Amish thing? Like that's just a widespread thing that they do?
I don't know that I could say it's a widespread Amish thing, but maybe it's just localized to Katie's family. I don't know, but
Which is a
It's
widespread
just-
Amish thing.
by definition, oh, it's awesome. Guys, I enjoy these chats.
Yeah, it's
They do
great.
too.
This has been killer to have Daniel on with us. I have talked to
Yeah.
other siblings, and they're both down. They're game.
Nice.
Nice.
Yep.
I think it's fun.
One of them runs a podcast studio, so we just got to figure out how to get you guys to him and me there, and that probably doesn't happen this year until your babies are born, but we'll do that someday.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
I always love a good trip to California.
Yep.
Yeah, I do too.
But I always make sure I have one of Pete's Power Pickles before I drive.
All right, Derek, bring us home. Wrap us up.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys. My coffee's cold. I'm sure yours is too. But it was a pleasure. Daniel, thanks for joining us. Thank you guys for your wisdom, and appreciate the 4 people that listened. Look forward to hearing the reviews from Pete's Power Pickles. Please leave your maybe don't leave your addresses in the comment section. Just privately message Pete, and we'll make sure to get those boxes to you.
All right, thanks for joining, guys. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Later.
Bye.
See ya.